Best English practice.
Welcome to the deep dive. Okay, let's get straight to it. If you're learning English, you've probably hit that wall, right? Where you're trying to speak, but your brain just feels stuck, like it's translating everything from your first language.
Yeah, absolutely. It makes you hesitate, sound maybe less natural than you'd like.
And honestly, it's just plain frustrating sometimes.
It really is. It's like your thoughts have to take this extra step, this filter, before they actually become English words.
And that step takes time, mental energy too.
Definitely.
Exactly. But what if you could, cut out that filter altogether?
That's the goal, really.
So today, we're diving deep into this whole idea of learning to think directly in English. We'll explore why it's such a game changer for fluency.
And give you some actual practical things you can start doing.
Right, concrete steps to start making that shift. Think of it as your express lane, maybe, to more fluent, more confident English speaking.
It's interesting because our native language is just so deeply wired in, isn't it?
It really is.
So when we learn a new language, the brain naturally tries to sort of map it onto that existing system first.
Makes sense.
But yeah, for real fluency, you need that more direct link between the idea, the concept, and the English words themselves.
Okay, let's dig into that why a bit more then. Why is thinking in English so critical? What's the actual impact of doing that constant mental translation?
Well, think about it like this. If you want to say something simple like, it's raining.
Okay.
If you first have to think that in, say, Spanish or Mandarin, then find the English words, then put them together, well, your brain's taking a little detour.
A detour. I like that analogy as this extra layer of processing.
Exactly. And that just slows you down.
And it can make conversations feel really choppy, right? You feel like you're always trying to catch up.
Precisely. So thinking directly in English starts to change that whole process.
How so? What's happening in the brain?
Well, when you consistently think in English, you're basically training your brain. You're making it connect ideas and meanings directly with English words, English grammar.
So it's like strengthening those pathways in your brain.
Yeah, exactly. Repeated association makes those connections stronger, faster, more automatic.
So you don't need that middle step, that translation.
You eliminate it, essentially. The response becomes more immediate.
It sounds a bit like learning to drive.
How do you mean?
At first, you're thinking about every single thing consciously. Clutch, gear, gas.
Very deliberate.
But then eventually it just happens. It becomes automatic. Is it kind of like that kind of brain training?
That's a fantastic analogy, actually.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
it's like building language muscle memory in your brain.
Okay.
Native speakers, they already have that direct link, you see. They think blue sky, and the English words are just there. No translation needed.
Right. It's just direct concept to word. So by learning to think in English, what we're really trying to do is build that same direct, automatic pathway for ourselves.
You got it. And that's what leads to faster speech, more natural sounding speech.
It's about changing your internal landscape, linguistically speaking.
That's a good way to phrase it. Shifting your internal linguistic landscape.
Okay, so we get the importance. It's clear why this matters. Now, the big question, how? How do we actually start thinking in English? It feels kind of huge. Where do you even begin?
It can seem abstract, I get that. But the key is, like with many things, start small. Small, consistent actions.
Okay, like what?
Here's a really simple one. You can literally do this the moment you wake up tomorrow.
All right, I'm listening.
Before you even get out of bed, just look around and name the objects you see in English, silently in your head.
Okay, so my eyes open, and instead of just seeing the lamp, I actively think lamp.
Yes.
Oh.
Curtain, pillow, blanket.
Nightstand. Just labeling the immediate environment.
Exactly, just labeling in English. And the great thing is you can weave this into your whole day really easily.
How so?
Well, when you're walking outside, mentally name what you see. Sidewalk, car, tree, bicycle. Making breakfast, think spoon, bowl, coffee, toast.
Even waiting in line or something.
Perfect time for it. Silently describe what's happening. People waiting. Cash register. Use simple English words and phrases.
The beauty is that it doesn't require extra time, really. You just integrate it.
Precisely. It slots right into your existing routine.
So it's like turning these everyday moments into tiny mental workouts, focusing on that direct English link, not translating.
You're building the habit, association by association.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, what about, that voice inside our heads, the inner monologue?
The inner voice, yes.
How can we leverage that? Because we're always thinking something.
It's such a powerful tool for language learning and often really underused. It's basically constant mental practice, right?
Right.
So the goal is to consciously steer that internal conversation towards English.
So instead of thinking in my native language, oh, I need to send that email, I actively try to think it in English. I need to send that email.
Exactly that. It sounds almost too simple, maybe.
A little, yeah.
But that constant, low-level internal exposure, it really adds up over time. It starts to normalize English in your mind.
So how do you recommend starting with that? Just jump into complex thoughts?
No, start small again. Try narrating simple daily actions to yourself. In English, use short sentences.
Like what? Give me an example.
Okay, I am brushing my teeth. I am making coffee. The water is hot. I am walking to the bus stop.
Just little observations about what you're doing.
Yes. Short declarative sentences.
Yeah.
It might feel a bit strange or forced at first. That's okay.
But stick with it.
Stick with it. Consistency makes it feel more natural over time. Your brain adapts.
And I suppose as you get more comfortable with those simple things, you can start narrating more complex thoughts or plans in English internally.
Absolutely. You gradually expand the scope and complexity. Now, you mentioned sources earlier. Some also suggest taking it a step further.
Yeah, the idea of actually speaking aloud to yourself or even recording yourself. How does that connect to thinking in English?
Well, speaking aloud or recording, it takes that internal English thought and makes it external, tangible.
Okay.
It forces you not just to formulate the thought in English, but to actually produce the sounds, the rhythm, the intonation.
Ah, so it adds another layer, a physical layer.
Exactly. And doing that can really highlight areas where maybe your fluency isn't quite there or pronunciation needs work, things you might miss just thinking it.
So it's a different kind of practice, reinforcing that thought-to-speech connection.
Precisely. It moves you from just mental rehearsal to, well, a kind of performance, even if just for yourself.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay, another really key point that came up was thinking in phrases, not just single words. Why is that shift important?
Ah, yes. This is crucial. Thinking in chunks, in phrases, helps your brain learn the natural flow and structure of English much more effectively.
As opposed to just individual words.
Right. If you just think in isolated words, eat, good, movie, you're still mentally having to assemble the sentence word by word each time.
Which takes more effort and can sound, well, less natural.
It often does. It can sound a bit robotic, maybe.
So instead of just thinking the word tired, you'd actively try to think the phrase.
I am tired, or I feel tired, or I'm getting tired.
Okay. Or instead of book, think I'm reading a book, or this book is interesting.
Exactly. It trains your brain to grab these ready-made chunks of language, which is much closer to how we actually speak and process language naturally.
The source material had that little example, didn't it? Someone thinking, what was it?
I think it was something like, it's a sunny day, I'm going for a walk, I feel happy.
Right. That really shows how these phrases just link together naturally. It forms a flow.
It does. It creates a much more connected internal narrative in English. It gets you beyond just recalling vocabulary words and into actually using the language structure in your mind.
Okay, that's a really practical tip. Think in phrases. Now, something else that always comes up with language learning is immersion.
Always important.
How does surrounding yourself with English specifically help with this goal of thinking in English?
Immersion basically bombards your brain with authentic examples. Examples of how native speakers naturally think and then express those thoughts in English.
Through things like music, movies.
Yes, songs, films, TV shows, simple books or articles. Anything where you're hearing or seeing English used naturally in context.
So you're constantly exposed to real phrasing, rhythm, intonation.
The whole package. You're seeing thought patterns expressed in English again and again.
So it's not just about understanding the words anymore. It's about absorbing the way ideas are connected and expressed.
Exactly. And to really maximize this for thinking in English, try to be active with it.
Active how?
Don't just passively consume. Engage your mind.
Yeah.
When you're watching a movie, maybe pause sometimes and think, how would I say that? Or try to guess what a character might say next in English.
Ah, so you're actively trying to use the patterns you're observing.
Yes. You're sort of comparing their English thought process to your own developing one. It helps you internalize those patterns much more effectively.
It's like building up this huge mental library of English thought-to-speech examples. Gives your brain more data to work with.
A massive data set, exactly. More models to learn from.
Now, we should probably manage expectations here a bit, this shift. Learning to think in a new language, it doesn't happen overnight, does it?
Oh, absolutely not. Let's be realistic. Changing mental habits, especially ones as deep-seated as language, takes time. It takes real effort and dedication.
So people shouldn't get discouraged if they catch themselves translating still.
Not at all.
Yeah.
There will definitely be moments, maybe lots of them at first, where you realize you've slipped back into thinking in your native language without even noticing.
That's just part of the process.
It's completely normal. The key is not to get frustrated or give up when that happens. Just gently redirect your thoughts back to English when you notice it.
So consistency is really the name of the game here. Daily practice.
Daily, consistent practice. Even if it's just for a few minutes spread throughout the day, using those little techniques we talked about.
It's like you said, building that new pathway, strengthening it bit by bit.
Exactly. Think of it as gradually rewiring your mental default. The more you use that English pathway, the stronger and more automatic it becomes.
It takes patience. It's a journey.
Definitely a journey, not a quick fix, but a worthwhile one.
Okay, so to kind of bring it all together then, the big takeaway seems to be that learning to think directly in English isn't just some optional extra.
No, it's pretty fundamental, really.
It's a foundational key to unlocking that faster, more natural, more fluent English we're all aiming for.
Couldn't agree more. By consciously using these strategies, the object naming, the inner voice practice, thinking in phrases, immersion, you're actively training your brain.
Training it to bypass that mental translation step, that bottleneck.
Exactly, getting rid of that detour.
So our encouragement to you listening right now is to actually start. Pick one or two of these ideas that feel doable for you.
Don't try to do everything at once, maybe. Just pick something.
Right. And make it a consistent part of your day. Starting today or tomorrow, even small steps done regularly add up to significant progress over time.
And just keep reminding yourself, perhaps, that the real foundation of fluency, it's built first in your mind.
That's a great final thought. Cultivating that mental space where you naturally think in English, that's where the real lasting change happens.
That's where it begins.
So keep practicing, keep immersing yourself, and importantly, keep working on thinking in English. You really can do this.